I guess the last thing to talk about, kind of economic wise, is you indicated that you study macro. So why don't we highlight for folks kind of the difference between a macro and micro? Because again, to the every person, that it's just words or vocabulary. How do you kind of split that macro micro?
So I think of macro as basically just what drives the economy as with the unit of analysis is the economy as a whole.
Mhm.
So are we growing as the economy in the US? What are interest rates like in the US? So these are big macro variables: inflation, unemployment rate, GDP, interest rates. These are the unit of analysis is basically on the country level. For micro, I think of the unit of analysis more on the individual level. So what are consumers doing, or what are even our individual companies doing when they set prices? So it's just, as the name implies, whether or not it's very high level, where the unit of analysis is just, like a country or region or worldwide, or something that the unit of analysis is something smaller. And the methods are a bit different. So in micro, you use a lot more math. So I think the microeconomic economists have more success in understanding the world, modeling behaviors of individual companies and competition and things like that. The macroeconomists are not very successful, actually. So if you look at, so the Fed hires probably a few hundred macroeconomists, and they give projections on the economy. Their projections that they give to themselves are actually confidential, but they get released with a lag. If you go look at those projections for the past decade or so, you can realize that they are
Not very
basically
good.
always wrong, and sometimes by a lot. So
Yeah.
macroeconomics is hard because when you're talking about macro, you're talking about aggregate behavior, you're talking
Hmm.
about politics, you're talking about the things that change over time.
Yeah.
And unlike physics or something like that, where if I drop a rock, it falls at 9.8 meters per second square towards the earth today, or 1,000 years ago here or in London. When you're talking about macro, you're talking about human behavior that
Right.
is, that changes over time. So there are no, the relationships change. So you really can't use math. You always have to be a bit more
Yeah.
circumspect. And when you try to use math, you get bad results. But they try anyway.
Exactly. They try. They're going to keep trying. They're going to keep trying.